Welcome to lesson 4 of course 2. Today's topic is counting living things. It's kind of a part 2 of what we did in lesson 11 of course 1, which is where we learned how to say hitotsu, nanko, and nambon, if you remember correctly. Those were counting things that were not alive. Those were generic counters, or things that were long and thin, or things that were flat. So now we're going to talk about people and animals in this lesson. And of course, at this point, we do need to know sa, shi, su, se, so, and za, ji, zu, ze, zo. It's not z, it's g. But you learned that in the lesson, I am sure. Here's some new words. There's only going to be 2 of them. More question words that are super important in Japanese. Nannin. Nannin. How many people? I could just say, nannin desu ka? How many people? Now, there are more polite ways to say how many people, but let's assume that they didn't exist because we're still learning Japanese. Let's assume that you could say this to everybody, but like a waiter wouldn't really do that. A waiter has a more politer way to say. But let's say you're going to have a party and your friend says, "Can I bring some friends?" This totally would work with your friends. It just wouldn't work if you were a waiter. You would say, "Nanmei sama desu ka?" How many people in your party? You know, it'd be like that kind of a thing. So, nannin desu ka? How many people? How many people do you want to bring to my party? Nanbiki. Nanbiki. Nanbiki desu ka? How many animals? Yeah, I've got some cats and some dogs. Nanbiki desu ka? How many? So, in English, it's really not how many people and how many animals, right? In English, it's just how many. How many? But in Japanese, there is kind of a distinction because for every counter word, right, they have a different counter word, like nin and biki now. Now, some people, when they learn these things, it's one of those complaints that you hear, this random complaint about Japanese. Oh, Japanese is hard because of the counter words. Not the case. English is just as hard because we have a piece of cake, a slice of pizza, a block of cheese, a herd of cattle, a school of fish, a murder of crows. Where does that come from? A murder of crows? So there's a bunch of counter-related words in English, and Japanese happens to do the same thing. All right, so also this word is important. Petto. Petto. Okay, and this came from English, so you should be able to remember. Here's another word we need to know. It's kazoku. Kazoku, family. Now, there are more words in the lesson, but these are the words that I need for this particular video. Hopefully, you've been through the lesson. And kyodai. Kyodai. Now, kyodai, I kind of like to remember this because, you know, brothers and sisters are irritating. So, like, die today, okay? Kyo, today, die. Kyodai. Hopefully, that'll help you. So, let's go through how to count people. The first 2 are a little bit tricky, but after that, there's a pattern. 1人, 2人, 3人. Now, from this point, it's easy. It's 3人, and then you can imagine it's just something nin. The first 2, though, must be 1人and 2人. Okay? So, if you're going to say one person, you have to say 1人, never 1人. And if you're going to say 2 people, you're going to always say 2人, never 2人. Okay? Now, kind of interesting thing to note, though. 1人could also mean I'm alone today. Like not like I'm sad alone, like I'm here by myself. Hey, who are you with? 今日は1人です. Today I am one person, meaning today I'm by myself. 1人. Kind of good to know. Now 4人 is special. It's never 4人. It's 4人. 4人. 5人, 6人, 7人, never ever 7人. 8人 and 9人 and 10人. And from that point on, it's just the same pattern, okay? There's nothing really special after that. You go to 11人, 12人 though. It's never 10 plus 1人 and 10 2人. It'll never do that. Pretty much in any counting system where the first 2 or 3 are weird, even days of the week, remember, was 1日、2日、3日. It was kind of weird up until the 3rd one. Well, actually, it's weird all the way to the 10 one. But after that first 10, it jumps to a pattern that we're familiar with. Remember, it was 11日、12日. Same thing here. Once you get past 10, it goes 11日、12日、13日. Oh, I'm doing nichis, I'm sorry. It's 11人, 12人, 13人, etc., etc. And 14人, it'll follow it's still going to be 14人. So let's go ahead and look at how we can use this. Now, we want to say something like 3 friends. So we know that 3 people is 3人. So it doesn't always mean people. Even though it's how many people counter, it means teachers, friends, children, parents, any samurai, ninja, anything that's a person is counted with the nin counter. So in this case, 3 people, you don't say san tomodachi. You cannot do that, okay? You say 3人の友達. Look at that just for a second. We're going to talk about this just a second. So if you want to say 3 friends, 3人の友達. We're literally modifying. What friend is it? Well, it's 3 friends. We're modifying with this no. Okay, we're connecting it with the no. 3人の友達. But you can also reverse it. 友達. Keep that in mind for a second. 友達3人. So, 友達3人 all by itself means 3 friends. It's exact same, pretty much the exact same meaning as this. Okay, it means 3 friends. And it's a question mark because sometimes you can have something in there. And we're going to talk about it. Once we get to sentences, I'll show you what I mean. But for example, let's say 3 of my friends came. I could say 3人の友達が来ました. 3人の友達が来ました. Okay? Or 友達3人来ました. Or 友達が3人来ました. Okay? This can change inside here. From not being there to being a ga to depending on what we're doing with the counter, because all counters follow this pattern for combining the object and the number. Later on, when we like, let's say we said, give me 3 things, then you would say the O could be in there for kudasai. So like something o mitsu kudasai. Okay, that's what I mean by there could be a particle in there. How do you say 10 ninja? 10 ninja. It's a little bit tricky because nin is in ninja, but it's a different kanji. 10 ninja. 10人の ninja. I mean, let's say, 10 ninjas came. 10人の ninja が来ました. が来ました. 10人の ninja が来ました. Alright? Or I could just say, ninja 10人. 10 ninjas. Ninja 10人. Ninja が10人来ました. Okay? The key thing that you could take away from this is you're never going to have the wa or the ga after a counter word. It's never going to do that. So even when we say, go back to lesson 10. If you want 3 things, you say mitsu kudasai. Give me 3. Okay? Because the only thing that can have the particle after it is the actual object that you're requesting. So if I want to say ryokucha, give me 3 ryokuchas, right? Ryokucha o mitsu kudasai. Okay, does that make sense? The O can only come after the actual physical object, not the number representing how many of that object there is. Here's a little bit of a special one. We don't do this in English. We almost never ask this question either for family. So we don't ever ask somebody how many people are in your family. It's a rare, weird question for us. But Japanese people like to know how big is your family, okay? But because it's such a common thing to say, they don't say 4人の家族. They say 4人家族. They're just very, very used to saying 4人家族. So the no is not there. 家族4人. Literally the exact same meaning, okay? And depending on the sentence, they'll flip it depending on what feels right, okay? All right, so now I'm going to ask you some questions. Actually, I'm going to give you an English question. I want you to make this question in Japanese. And this is a very common question that you'll get. I'm a little bit nervous about this for you guys. This is a big sentence. This is a really big sentence. So, what are we talking about? What's the topic in this sentence? I mean, you are the topic, yeah, but what's the thing we're asking the question about? Japanese friends. 日本人の友達は何人いますか? 日本人の友達は何人いますか? Notice that we have friend. This alone without Nihonjin would be how many friends do you have? But now we have Nihonjin no, so we've modified friend to give us a different type of friend. Maybe you have no Japanese friends, maybe you have 4. Okay? 日本人の友達は何人いますか? And you could ask them too. アメリカ人の友達は何人いますか? And I think that's kind of a weird question. It might be better just to ask them, do you have any American friends? And that would be just, アメリカ人の友達がいますか? アメリカ人の友達がいますか? Alright. I want to point this out. Because in my second sentence I said, アメリカ人の友達が何人いますか? And in this one it says, 日本人の友達は何人いますか? Again, if you use either one, it's okay. But the reason why it's a wa here is because we're specifying Japanese friends over all other types of friends. Okay, we're emphasizing something. But when I say, アメリカ人の友達がいますか? Like, do you have any American friends? It's not, how many people are coming to the party? How many people are coming to the party? しおりちゃん、助けてください。しおりちゃん、なんで日本人の友達は何人いますかで和を使うんですか? で、その次に知りたいのは、アメリカ人の友達がいますか? その時はがでも和でもいいんですけども、あなたはどっちを使いますか? よろしくお願いします。I want to point this out because in my second sentence I said アメリカ人の友達が何人いますか? And in this one it says 日本人の友達は何人いますか? Again, if you use either one, it's okay. But the reason why it's a wa here is because we're specifying Japanese friends over all other types of friends. Okay, we're emphasizing something. But when I say アメリカ人の友達がいますか? Like, do you have any American friends? It's not. How many people are coming to the party? How many people are coming to the party? しおりちゃん、助けてください。しおりちゃん、なんで日本人の友達は何人いますかで和を使うんですか?
はい。なんで和を使うんだろうね。ちょっと日本人にとってもちょっと難しい質問。だけど、日本人は普通は絶対に和って使うかな。うん。そうだね。これが2つ目の質問の答えになると思う。日本人、私がどっちを和かがをどっちを使うかって言われたら絶対に和。がって言ったら、日本人の友達がいますかって言ったら、ちょっと子供っぽい感じがする。そう。でも全く意味は一緒かな。一緒だね。そう。なんで和を使うかっていうと、きっと友達はなんて言ったらいいかな。そう。日本人の友達だけじゃないはず。普通にアメリカ人の友達もいるし、そう、韓国の友達とか中国の友達とかスペインの友達とかいろんな国の友達がいて、そう、アメリカの中でもたくさん友達がいて、その中の日本人の友達っていうニュアンスに聞こえる。だからそうだね。そう、それが普通なんだよね。そう、日本人の友達もいるし、そう、いろんな国の友達がいる中の日本人の友達っていう意味が伝わる。和を使うと。うまく説明できてんのかなこれ。そう、でもこれが私の意見です。
Hang on. All right. So now we have how many people came to the party. Some of you already saw the answer or know it in your brain. How many people came to the party? To the party, how many people came? パーティーに何人来ましたか? Notice that after 何人, you don't have ga. You don't have 何人が来ました. That is bad Japanese. Okay? Remember, it's after, not after a question word, but after a counter word, you typically don't have ga. Typically, there was one example of how you could have, after a counter word, you could have ga. It was actually a video that we just watched here in the stream where I was playing the Japanese lottery and Keiko was explaining that you could win 1 million yen. So she said, 100万円が当たる. Ataru means to win. It's ga on that because 100万円 is now a thing. It's a thing that you win versus a counter word. If you say, give me 1 million yen, it's 100万円ください. Okay? Does that make sense? Probably not. And it'll probably be cut from the final video. There are 500 people in my school. There are 500 people in my school. When I was in Japan, there was only 640 people in my school. It was a very small high school. 私の学校に500人います. All right. Whew. Now we're going to talk about animals. We're going to talk about EVs. We're going to talk about cats. We're going to talk about dogs, Pokemons, anything that is an animal for the most part. There are a couple exceptions that we'll talk about. We're going to talk about how to count them. So, 1匹, 1匹, 2匹, 3匹. This is just like the minutes, but it's a different pattern. It doesn't follow the same pattern. Remember in minutes we had 1分, 2分, 3分. It was a P, but now with 3, we have a B. So you can't come up with a pattern. Trust me, I've tried. It doesn't work. 1匹, 2匹, 3匹, 4匹, never 4匹. And you have to have the sound. You can't say 4匹. 5匹, 6匹, 6匹, 7匹, never 7匹. That's actually, I just hurt myself saying it. 7匹 is not right. 7匹, 7匹, 8匹, 8匹, 9匹, never 9匹, and 10匹, 10匹. And again, the pattern after that, 11匹, 12匹, 13匹. All right, so let's say 5 cats. Now, we're going to use the exact same pattern that we used before. So start with the one where the number is first. What is that? 5匹の猫. 猫5匹. What if you are in Himeji City? They have a safari park. It's called Himeji Central Safari Park, I think. And I believe they have giraffes there. And what if there's 7 giraffes? 7匹のキリン. And remember, this question mark is just showing you where a particle would come. The particle comes after the actual animal name. キリン7匹. キリン7匹いました. Or キリンが7匹いました. There were 7 giraffes. Now fish are also an animal. And they actually still use the 1匹2匹3匹 counter. You would think they might not because they're a different type of animal. But they actually say 2匹の魚. 2匹の魚. Or 魚2匹. Now birds are an animal. But I'm sorry. They are weird. They have feathers. And for some reason, if you have feathers, you don't use the 1匹2匹 rule. You have to use one that we don't officially teach yet, but you have to use wa counter. Okay, so it's 1wa, 2wa, 3wa. Okay, and another weird thing about this, rabbits are also included in the animals with feathers. So rabbits and birds are 1wa, 2wa, 3wa. Don't ask me why. There is a historical reason. I forget what it is. Something to do with food. They used to eat rabbits, I think, I don't know, because they eat fish. I don't know if that rule holds up. All right, so just be careful when you're saying birds or rabbits. If you say pikiniki, they'll forgive you. You're going to be okay. So let's ask some questions. How many pets do you have? I have 3. 私は3匹います. 3匹. They're all cats, by the way. ペットは何匹いますか? ペットは何匹いますか? Speaking of pets, how many do you have? All right. What if In Las Vegas, where I live, it's a desert. It gets so hot that you could die inside of a car. And it's a problem. So if you have animals in a car, you would want to notify somebody. There are 2 dogs in that car. And that's a very dangerous thing. So how would you say to the policeman, there are 2 dogs in that car? In that car, 犬が dogs 2匹います. There are 2. Okay? Did you get that? All right, here we go. Here's a big one. There are 5 delicious apples on the desk. There are 5. Yesterday I was working and I was like starving, like I thought I was gonna die, and that's why I came up with the sentence. Because there was an apple on my desk and I just looked over at it. It's been there for maybe a week. And I was just like, screw it. And I ate it. It was so delicious. There are 5 delicious apples on the desk. This is a hard one. We have to go back to lesson 2, where we did location words. 机の上に美味しいリンゴが5つあります. And I tricked you just a little bit because we did not use the animal counter here. I wanted you to don't do what some people do when they learn the new counter. They just think everything. You could not say gohiki for an apple. You could say there are 5 worms in the apple, right? Ringo no naka ni mimizu ga 5匹いました. Mimizu means earthworm. I'm not sure what kind of worm would be in an apple besides that. So there you go. Make sure that you use the appropriate counter. Hopefully you weren't fooled. Speaking of getting fooled, I'm going to ask you a homework question. We've never done this before. And what you're going to do is in the comments of this video, I would like you to please post your answer. And then in the following video, we're going to go ahead and answer it. 兄弟は何人ですか? 兄弟は何人ですか? I'll see you all on the next Japanese from Zero video. Bye bye.